I worked to put my boyfriend Kevin through university. When we were long distance, I bought the cheapest train ticket with no reserved seat just to see him for 10 hours. I wanted to give him a surprise, but instead, I saw him and Tiffany intimately strolling, arm in arm. I broke down and rushed up to confront him. Why are you doing this to me? He just scoffed, let's break up. I'm sick of your shabby look. She can give me more. However, the next day, I woke up to find I was the daughter of the wealthiest man in Fairview. When broke up with me, I was still holding a bouquet of flowers. Tiffany, wearing a red cocktail dress, gave me a disdainful glance. Kevin, who is this? Kevin looked a little surprised to see me, guiltily pulling his hand from Tiffany's arm. It's nothing, just a friend of mine. A friend? I stared blankly at him. Having rushed straight from the train, I was still a bit travel-worn and disheveled. Kevin, you told me you were working overtime at the firm. I thought I'd give you a surprise, and instead, you gave me this massive one? Tiffany seemed to catch on, asking unhappily, Kevin, didn't you say you were single? Is this your girlfriend? Kevin was annoyed. What girlfriend? I haven't liked her for a long time. Then he turned to me. I don't like you. Stop pestering me. His eyes were so cold, as if he couldn't wait to shake me off, as if our 8 years together were insignificant to him. It was a bolt from the blue. I blinked incredulously. The person looking at me with such disgust had been talking about celebrating our 8th year anniversary on the phone just yesterday. Kevin turned to Tiffany and said gently, Tiffany, it's cold outside. Why don't you go sit at the coffee shop over there? This woman is difficult, I'll handle her. Tiffany wasn't stupid. She keenly sensed our unusual relationship, eyeing me up and down with a haughty gaze. Then she let out a laugh, her voice petulantly saying, then hurry up and deal with her. Aft. That, she walked off in her high heels to the nearby coffee shop. A light drizzle began to fall. I was thinly dressed, but as the night wind blew, I felt no cold, because the person before me was so unfamiliar that it chilled my heart. A suitor? I sneered, throwing the flowers forcefully at him. Some suitor. Kevin, what suitor stays with you for 8 years? What suitor discusses engagement with you 2 days ago? I came here full of hope to be with you, and this is how you treat me. Kevin's eyes darkened, looking at me without a word. Before me was the man I had been with for 8 years, the one I intended to marry. I used to think that even long distance couldn't stop our love, yet he calmly watched me break down and rage, completely unmoved. Have you said enough? Kevin frowned impatiently. Why didn't you tell me you were coming in advance? I found it absurd and laughed, tears welling up. Tell you? So you could have time to prepare and keep deceiving me? Kevin suddenly laughed, his eyes full of mockery as he looked at me. Grace, don't you understand yet? You're just an orphan. What can you give me? Tiffany is a socialite. Her dad owns a big firm, has villas and yachts, and she has a great figure. What about you? What do you have? I stood there stunned. Kevin, I've been with you for 8 years. Yes, I'm an orphan, and I don't have a degree, but don't forget I dropped out of university so you could go to university and then graduate school. I worked 2 jobs every day, tirelessly, to support you. Haha, wasn't that all your choice? Kevin's expression was odd. Oh, so you know I graduated from a prestigious university? My job's pretty good now, and plenty of girls like me. Look at you, Grace, you have no money, no looks, just a high school diploma. How can you compare to her? How do you deserve me? She's rich and she likes me. I finally have this opportunity, and I don't want to live that hard life anymore. We're not a match. Just let me go. My mouth opened, but no words came out. The drizzle fell on my head, blurring my vision. It felt like I was truly seeing him for the first time. Those gentle facades were stripped away, leaving behind only shocking scars. Kevin's head was covered by an umbrella. Tiffany stood beside him, holding it for him, and smiled. Kevin, is this the orphan ex-girlfriend you said kept pestering you? She really doesn't deserve you. Ex-girlfriend? I nodded, calmly saying, yes, I'm his ex-girlfriend now. But this Kevin next to you isn't a good person, Ms. Tiffany. Open your eyes and see him for who he really is. He lived off me for all those years he was studying, wearing my clothes, spending the money I earned from my jobs. He was quite the kept man, and that's not a small expense. I opened my bag, took out pen and paper, and wrote down my bank account details. I slapped it onto Kevin's chest. You want to get rid of me? Fine. Pay back all the money I spent on you these past few years, every last cent. It needs to be in my account within 3 days, or we'll go to court. Kevin was annoyed. Grace, you. I can't believe you're this kind of person. I looked back at Tiffany. You like this jerk, don't you? Consider me blind for having been with him. He's all yours. If you really like him, you can pay him back for me. After saying that, I turned and left. I was an orphan, abandoned at the Maplewoods home when I was a baby. The kind Ms. Eleanor took me in and raised me, and generous donors helped fund my schooling. But because I had no parents, I was often bullied at university. They ganged up to mock my patched clothes, saying I was an uneducated wild child with no parents. When I couldn't take it anymore, I told the teachers, but they didn't care. I couldn't even afford school fees and usually picked up odd jobs and collected scrap to earn pocket money, which led to poor grades. So, they became even worse. They seemed excited, like a pack of wolves sensing weakness. They poured ink on my books, my desk always had messy scribbles, and after school, they'd corner me and force me to hand over my pocket money. That day, I was cornered again. Their tall shadows loomed over me, making me feel terrified. Suddenly, a voice angrily sounded from behind me. "What are you doing?" That was the first time I saw Kevin. He threatened those people that if they bullied me again, he'd call the police. They reluctantly dispersed. Kevin asked me worriedly, "Are you okay?" The scent of laundry detergent wafted from the clean shirt of the young man. He was full of righteousness then, with gentle eyes and brows, an honor roll student at the university, shining like a god in my eyes. Later, I started running into him often. I deliberately created every opportunity to see him. He said, "Grace, you're very beautiful." He kissed my eyes, held my hand on the playground, and we naturally became a couple. They all said Kevin liking me was a blessing from my past lives, so they targeted me even more fiercely. However, Kevin's family fell on hard times, and he faced university. Like he saved me once, I stepped forward. "Kevin, I'm not going to university. My grades are far worse than yours, and we can't afford 2 tuitions." So I started working several jobs a day to put him through university. He would always embrace me tenderly, whispering sweet nothings, making me willingly fall into his sweet talk and foolishly devote myself. He said, "Grace, when I graduate and find a good job, I'll marry you." He was handsome, and when we were long distance, many girls at the university liked him, but he said he only loved me and wanted to be with me forever. Now it seems it was nothing but a sugar-coated bullet. He just needed an idiot to pave the way for his future. I deleted everything related to Kevin, hiding in a motel to slowly accept the fact of betrayal. On the 3rd day in Fairview, I suddenly received a transfer to my bank account and a text message from an unknown number. "The money's paid back. Don't look for Kevin again. You don't deserve him. He's my boyfriend now." It was Tiffany. I just found it amusing. It seemed like another girl had been tricked by Kevin's sweet talk. I was feeling like a lost soul, not knowing where to go, when I suddenly received a call from Ms. Eleanor at Maplewoods home. "Grace, there's a couple here who say they're your birth parents." My heart sank. The word parents was unfamiliar to me. In countless dark moments, I had wished they would appear in my life, but I was always disappointed. Nevertheless, I traveled to the city where Maplewoods home was located that very night. In front of me was a well-dressed middle-aged couple. The man was in a suit, and the woman wore a luxurious mink coat with exquisite makeup. The moment she saw me, the woman's eyes welled up, and she excitedly came up and hugged me. "Daughter, we finally found you." It felt unreal. The middle-aged man next to her took off his glasses and wiped away tears. "Grace, we've been looking for you for so long." The woman was Catherine. She looked at me closely, with a gaze I had never felt before, gentle and filled with heartache. The middle-aged man was Richard. He looked at me with satisfaction. "Your mother and I were quite young when we had you back then, and we didn't have much money, so we took you north to work. But the train was so crowded, and we weren't careful, and a human trafficker stole you. Your mother almost cried her eyes blind. We reported it to the police, and after a long wait, the human trafficker was finally caught, but he said the buyer temporarily didn't want the child, so he just left you at the entrance of a Maplewoods home. But he did too many of those things and couldn't remember which Maplewoods home it was. When we found it, we were told you had already moved from the old Maplewoods home. After all these years, my daughter and I are finally reunited." Richard's eyes were red at the corners as he looked at me emotionally. "They named you Grace, right? You have a family name now. You are Grace." "Grace," I murmured. It all felt too unreal, like a dream. Catherine affectionately pulled my hand. "Good child, you must have suffered a lot all these years. I heard from Ms. Eleanor that you're very excellent and strong. Your parents have achieved some success in their business over the years and can give you a very good life. Come home with us." Ms. Eleanor looked at me, nodding with satisfaction. So, I went home with them. Richard donated a large sum of money to the Maplewoods home where I used to live. Only then did I realize that achieved some success was an understatement. The board of Fairview's largest investment firm was Richard, and he owned countless properties. When the car drove into I still hadn't fully processed it. Housing prices here were notoriously expensive, and many top celebrities chose to buy luxury homes here. In the past, this was something I wouldn't even dare to dream of. After opening the door, a graceful girl came down the stairs. Seeing me, her eyes lit up, and she quickly ran down, taking my hand. "Mom and Dad, is this my sister?" Her eyes were bright, and her features were very similar to mine. She was fair-skinned and beautiful. I quickly took a liking to her. Catherine smiled, pulling me along and saying, "This is your sister, Olivia. She's been looking for you with us all these years. When we went to pick you up, she kept talking about you." I was a little awkward due to the unfamiliarity, but Olivia was excited. She pulled my hand and led me upstairs. "Come on, sis, I'll take you to see your room." I decorated it myself. Opening the door, a magnificent crystal chandelier hung overhead, and a huge canopy bed was placed in the center. Olivia never let go of my hand. She kept mumbling, "Sis, this is the walk-in closet. All the latest seasonal styles, I picked them out for you. I don't know if they'll fit. Oh, and in a few days I booked a designer to come and tailor clothes for you. And this, my favorite rabbit plushie, I'll put it on your bedside table." Listening to her chatter, I felt a little pang of sadness for some reason. "Thank you, Olivia." Olivia pursed her lips and frowned. "Sis, have you suffered a lot?" I didn't speak. She looked at me with some heartache. "Your hands are so calloused from holding your hand just now. But it's okay. From now on, I'll protect you. You won't have to suffer anymore." She curved her lips into a smile. Richard said his birthday party would be in a few days, inviting socialites and heiresses from all walks of life. He would announce my return at the banquet. These past few days, I truly felt my parents' love. Olivia also loved to cling to me, often squeezing into my room at night to hear my stories from before. The kinship of blood quickly diluted the feeling of unfamiliarity. Olivia happily helped me choose an evening gown. "Olivia, I'm a little nervous. I felt a bit flustered just thinking about facing so many people." "Oh, don't be nervous." Olivia came over and squeezed my hand. "Sis, remember your dad's daughter. Many media outlets will be there to announce your identity to the world." Soon the day of the banquet arrived. I changed into a carefully designed red evening gown, my makeup impeccable, my hair styled in large waves. The person in the mirror looked so beautiful, not like myself. The banquet was held in a magnificent ballroom. Champagne and wine glasses filled the long tables draped with red cloth. Men in suits mingled with their female companions, toasting each other. I had only seen such scenes on television before, but I didn't expect to see Kevin here. Tiffany stood beside him, intimately holding his arm. They were not far from me. Kevin's gaze shifted, and he clearly saw me, freezing momentarily. Tiffany, who was speaking to a socialite, noticed his expression change, followed his gaze, and was also clearly surprised. Then, with a red-lipped smile and a wine glass in hand, walked over in her high heels, her expression a little defiant. She looked me up and down and sneered. "What? Are you working here as a server? Do servers need to dress like this?" Kevin beside her also looked at me, a hint of awe in his eyes. I had always been oppressed by life. This was the first time I had appeared so glamorous in anyone's sight. I looked at the couple before me, smiling without a word. Kevin frowned. "Grace, where did you borrow that evening gown? Are you working some part-time job? Places like this usually require invitations. Ordinary people can't just walk in." Tiffany looked me up and down. "Don't tell me you rented an outfit and pretended to be a socialite to sneak in? Or, did you latch onto some rich guy?" As soon as she said that, it inadvertently stung Kevin beside her, since he had indeed latched onto her to get into such a banquet. "She doesn't need to sneak in, nor does she need to latch onto any rich guy." A voice sounded. Olivia, in a dark red cocktail dress, walked over like a proud white swan. She looked directly into Tiffany's eyes, took my hand, and smiled faintly. "Let me officially introduce her. Her name is Grace. She's my biological sister, the heiress our family lost and finally found after so much effort." Tiffany's hand, gripping the wine glass, trembled. Kevin beside her also paled. "Miss Tiffany, you bring an opportunistic freeloader to my house and insult my sister. Are you even going to do business with our family?" Olivia, completely unlike the gentle, lively image I had of her, now had a serious expression, instantly putting Tiffany in her place. Tiffany's face turned green then white. "Olivia, you." At this moment, Richard also walked over. He coldly observed everything, then took my hand. For the first time, I felt the warmth of my father's broad palm. He led me to the stage in the ballroom and announced to everyone, "Ladies and gentlemen, I, Richard, have something else to say. My biological daughter, Grace, who was separated from us for many years, returned to my side a few days ago." The crowd erupted in an uproar. Paparazzi flashes lit up, making my eyes sting, but I didn't shy away, facing everything that was rightfully mine. I saw Kevin looking at me, stunned, from a slightly upward angle, staring at the transformed me. "How can this be?" he murmured, seemingly regretting his miscalculation. Tiffany's fingers gripping her wine glass turned white. She caught Kevin's expression and said bitterly, "Pretty, isn't she?" Kevin snapped back to reality, skillfully hiding the unwillingness in his eyes. At the banquet, people I usually only saw in various business journals and financial magazines were praising how beautiful I had become. For a moment, I was the center of attention, though I knew they were just saying it for my father's sake. Olivia pulled me over, leading me to a group of socialites, and introduced me to them. Kevin hadn't said anything. Half his face was hidden in shadow as he silently drank red wine. Tiffany, burning with anger, sneered, "Perhaps you don't know yet? Grace is just a factory worker who barely graduated high school. She was floundering at the bottom before she was found. She used to cling to my boyfriend, but unfortunately, my boyfriend didn't like her." The people around us began to whisper. Olivia's brows furrowed, and she was about to say something, but I gently patted her hand to comfort her, then spoke. "Ms. Tiffany, you keep saying I only have a high school diploma. But if someone with a high school diploma doesn't want something, why are you so eager to pick it up?" Tiffany's face instantly turned ugly. I found her so easily provoked and continued, "You're a guest in my home, yet you're so disrespectful to your host. Is this what Miss Tiffany's upbringing taught you?" The socialites nearby, who probably already disliked Tiffany, said sarcastically, "Indeed. Some people, just because their daddy made some quick money during a boom, think they're hot stuff and throw tantrums on other people's territory." Tiffany was provoked and retorted furiously, "Grace, don't think you're so great just because the Yen family found you. At your core, aren't you still just an orphan with no parents to teach you manners?" As soon as she said that, it opened a can of worms, directly insulting Richard. Olivia was enraged, stepping forward and grabbing her hand as if to hit her. "Who are you calling an orphan with no parents to teach them manners?" Richard walked over, his presence heavy, glaring at Tiffany. "I think you're utterly arrogant. Your father had to beg and drink himself sick yesterday just to get our family's business. Do you really think I, Richard, have been a pushover all these years? Now get out of my birthday party immediately. My family doesn't welcome you. Go back and tell your father the business deal is cancelled, and we will no longer associate. You call my daughter an orphan, isn't that cursing our whole family? Get out, now." Tiffany had never seen such a display. Her face flushed, and the people around watched her like a joke. She couldn't bear to stay any longer, so she picked up her skirt and ran away crying. Kevin hadn't expected things to turn out this way. He gave me a deep look before chasing after her. Richard spoke loudly, effectively making a statement to the media. "The family can't control his daughter. Today, she came to my home and humiliated my daughter so severely. It's a slap in the face to me, Richard. From now on, Horizon will have no further dealings with Sterling." For the first time, I felt the confidence of having a powerful backing. I used to walk alone, but now I had a retreat. Olivia whispered in my ear, "Dad means he's clearly cutting ties with Tiffany's family." "Sis, our family is the leader in the industry. If we make a statement like that, other firms probably won't get into trouble, and anyone who does business with their family will be seen as opposing us." I was startled, never expecting the Yen family's power to be so immense, and also shocked that my father would do so much for a daughter he hadn't seen in so many years. Catherine arranged for the best tutors to teach me, and even suggested I could study abroad with Olivia for a while if I wished. Studying abroad, that was something I never dared to dream of before. So, I began to learn languages, musical instruments, and special social etiquette. I looked at myself in the mirror, feeling increasingly unfamiliar, yet increasingly delighted. From a pitiful creature struggling to make ends meet and grasping for a little love, I was gradually transforming into a socialite. I didn't expect Kevin to come looking for me. He still had my old number and messaged me, hoping I could meet him. So, I agreed to Kevin's request to meet at a luxury grand, and at the same time, I sent a message to Tiffany using an unfamiliar phone number. It was raining that day, drizzling against the transparent glass windows. Outside, traffic flowed, and the bistro's lighting was dim. Kevin subtly observed me, a hint of astonishment in his eyes. Grace, you've changed a lot. I just felt sarcastic. What exactly do you want to tell me? He gestured to a server behind him, and then a performer sat down at the piano, and a melodious tune filled the air. Kevin seemed lost in thought. Back when we were crammed into that rental apartment, you used to say that someday if you had money, you'd want to eat steak at a grand. You always looked enviously at others when we passed by. Now it's finally come true. I can take you to eat steak. I forced a cold laugh. Those past hopes now seemed so ironic. Let's just consider the past a pitfall on my life's journey. No need to bring it up again. Kevin frowned at my words, suddenly grasping my hand. Grace, you used to love me very much, saying you wanted to marry me and be together forever. Don't you remember? I pulled my hand away, using a napkin to wipe where he had touched. I was naive back then, a poor judge of character. Kevin, your current girlfriend is Tiffany, yet you call me here to say all this. Don't you think it's inappropriate? Kevin was somewhat agitated. Grace, I was wrong. I don't love her at all. I still love you. It was me being ungrateful before, missing out on you. I regret it very much now. Can you forgive me? Every word he spoke made what little warm memories I had completely rot away. The young man who once protected me from violence had turned into ashes, now emitting a foul stench. Oh? Very regretful? I looked at a figure not far behind him. Kevin, aren't you just eager to rekindle old flames now that you see I'm doing well? But I remember you clearly said then that Tiffany had everything, which is why you wanted to be with her. Kevin snorted when he heard me say that. That socialite, I'm sick of serving her. She has a terrible temper and a stupid brain. Last time at the banquet, she spoke to you that way and offended your father. She's truly ungrateful. Kevin said urgently. Grace, I was just confused for a moment. We had so many beautiful memories together. Now I realize I love you. I heard Tiffany's family is facing financial difficulties, owing large bank loans. Is it because her family's business lost my father's support that you're coming back to me? I mercilessly exposed him. Kevin, an angry voice rang out. Kevin froze. Tiffany walked over in her high heels and slapped him hard. A crisp sound echoed, and several finger marks appeared on Kevin's face. I sipped my red wine, watching the show. Everyone around looked over at us. Tiffany tried to slap him again, but Kevin grabbed her wrist. What are you doing? He roared. Tiffany's face flushed with anger. She had always been haughty and questioned loudly. Kevin, I told you to come see my dad with me, but you came here to see this woman? You're two-timing? Do you think you'll stay? I'll have this good life if you leave me? Kevin looked around. The onlookers' gazes were fixed on him. Kevin clenched his fists and looked at her coldly. Give it a rest, Tiffany. I'm sick of your socialite temper. Your family is far worse off now, and your dad is stressed and overwhelmed trying to manage finances. What are you still putting on airs for? Tiffany stared at him in disbelief, her eyes reddening. I felt like this scene was familiar, only the one being hurt was now Tiffany. Tiffany nodded. She seemed to hate him intensely, her gaze turning to me filled with poison. You two just wait, she snapped, then turned and left. I stood up, my tone cold. All right, I've seen enough of this show today. Farewell. Kevin, still reeling from the outburst, looked visibly upset. Seeing me about to leave, he urgently called out, Grace, I ignored him and walked straight out. Kevin's gaze followed me, like daggers in my back. The family had financial loopholes and were turned away when they came to my dad for help. Kevin, seeing which way the wind blew, immediately broke up with Tiffany. That day, I was about to go out when Tiffany was waiting for me at the door. Her face was somewhat drawn, not as perfectly elegant as when I first met her. Grace, what happened before was my fault. She lowered her eyes, appearing sincere. I hope you can forgive me. It's all in the past. There's nothing to forgive or not forgive. I gave her a cold glance, stepped past her, and got into the car. I didn't see the strange look on Tiffany's face behind me. Midway, the car suddenly stalled. There was no one around this area. Feeling puzzled, I got out to check. Olivia called, asking where I was. My car broke down, I'm at. Suddenly, someone grabbed me from behind. A black cloth laced with a knockout drug covered my mouth and nose. I struggled violently but couldn't overcome the drug's effects. Before losing consciousness, I pressed a button on my watch, a special watch with GPS tracking. Ing. Sis? Sis? Before I blacked out, I heard Olivia's anxious voice on the phone. When I woke up, my hands and feet were bound with thick ropes. Above me was the ceiling of the old warehouse, the light dim. Dazedly, I heard someone nearby cursing loudly. Tiffany, you lunatic. You're a crazy woman. It was Kevin. He was also tied up and thrown beside me. Tiffany sat in front of us, coldly looking at us on the ground. Beside her stood several large men in black, holding bats. Slightly more lucid, Kevin continued to curse. Tiffany stepped forward and slapped him hard. Crazy? I've been crazy for a long time. Tiffany's eyes widened, her usual refined and elegant facade seeming to tear away. How dare you dump me and get together with that little bitch? I, Tiffany, have never been so insulted. And you, she pointed at me. Your family has made our lives miserable. Humph, Grace, you may have landed in a mansion, but you're still just an orphan from the streets. Today, I'm going to take my anger out on you too. I said nothing, my hands, tied behind my back, fumbling with my watch. Olivia must have received the location signal. Beat him, she said, pointing at Kevin, her red lips parting. Don't kill him, just torture him slowly. As for her, she looked at me again. Humph, after you're done with Kevin, have their way with her. The big men around let out lecherous laughs, their naked gazes roaming over my body. My heart sank to my stomach, and I couldn't help but feel panic. Tiffany, what you're doing is illegal, I said, calmly looking at her. If something happens to either of us, you'll be finished. Tiffany sneered contemptuously, who's going to find you here? Grace, Kevin, you two humiliated me so badly. Don't think you'll have an easy time. Kevin spat, crazy old hag. You dare touch me? Do you think I ever really liked you? It was just because you had money, otherwise, with your personality, what man would want you? Tiffany squeezed her fingers, beat high. The big men surrounded him, and the bats landed on his body again and again. Kevin screamed. The screams made my heart pound. Kevin was like a piece of moving meat to them. It was the first time I had faced violence so closely, and my face turned pale. Tiffany walked over and lifted my chin, pinching me painfully. Her tone was triumphant. Grace, tell me, what man would like a woman who's been had by many men? Her eyes were filled with chilling coldness, as if she eagerly anticipated that scene. My face was deathly pale. Tiffany, you don't need to hate me. I never hurt you from beginning to end. Except when Kevin called me out after your breakup, that was also to make you see his true colors. Tiffany suddenly pushed me away. So what? Stop pretending to be innocent. Your dad went after my family so ruthlessly just because I insulted you twice, so you have to bear the consequences. The beating continued nearby, the scene horrifying. The smell of blood filled the air. Kevin's voice grew fainter and fainter, almost lifeless. Tiffany told them to stop. All right, don't kill him. Their gazes turned to me. One of the men lecherously came up and tried to touch my face, but I dodged him. My movement infuriated him, and he immediately pinched my cheek tightly. In a burst of ferocity, I bit down hard on his hand. The man screamed as I drew blood, then pulled his hand back and slapped me hard. I immediately saw stars. My lip bled from the slap. I only heard the man cursing, "Get on this bitch." Suddenly, I felt hands pulling at my clothes. My clothes ripped with a sound. I tried to struggle but was held down tightly, left to their actions, despair rising within me. I bit down hard on my tongue. If I was to be humiliated like this, I'd rather die quickly. Just then, someone suddenly ran over, yelling anxiously, "Bad news. The police are here. Hurry." Tiffany's face changed, and she became flustered. "Get them both in the car." I felt myself being thrown into the back seat. Out of the car, Kevin was thrown beside me. He only had a little consciousness left, his entire face disfigured from the beating. Tiffany was driving in the front. She was clearly starting to panic. The wind rushed by, and I saw the scenery constantly changing. Behind us, police cars were blaring their sirens. If you turn back now, it's not too late. I silently rubbed the ropes behind my back against something, and when I saw her driving towards the coast, a chill ran down my spine. Tiffany was insane. She couldn't possibly be planning to drive us all into the ocean. The police sirens grew louder and more continuous behind us, with police cars chasing us. Tiffany suddenly sped up. The momentum threw me against the floor, and my head hit something, drawing blood. Kevin also regained some consciousness from the impact. "Tiffany, you lunatic," he murmured. Tiffany stared straight ahead, her face twisted in a look of madness. Suddenly, she whispered to Kevin, "Kevin, did you ever truly love me?" Kevin was half awake, half unconscious. His gaze flickered to me, ignoring Tiffany. On his bloodied face, I surprisingly saw a hint of a smile. "Grace, I'm sorry." He seemed to force out a smile, bruised and swollen, somewhat grotesque. He squinted at me. It was my greed for money, my vanity. At university, we were so good together. I really did like you. My heart trembled, don't say anything more. The memories I had tried to discard flooded back. For a moment, the person who had utterly rotted in my mind overlapped with the young man who had saved me, causing a strange sense of bewilderment. Tiffany, hearing this, became even more frantic. She screamed wildly, "Kevin, you lied to me. You lied to me. You said you only loved me. Ha ha ha, you liar." The wind howled outside. I realized Tiffany was almost in a state of complete madness. The direction ahead was the ocean. I frantically struggled, rubbing my hands against the ropes, and finally managed to cut them. Police sirens behind us grew closer and closer. I found the car door release. Kevin glanced at my actions, then braced himself and put a hand on my shoulder. My heart tightened, thinking he was going to stop me, but he just murmured, "I'm a bad person. I owe you. I'll pay you back in the next life." The car sped to the cliffside. Tiffany screamed, "All of you, die." In the nick of time, Grace opened the car door, and Kevin pushed her out with all his strength. The world spun around Grace. The violent impact with the ground left her reeling, almost tearing her apart. The car behind them plunged straight into the deep sea beneath the cliffside. The world fell silent. Police cars arrived, and Grace dazedly looked toward where the car had plunged into the sea. Olivia and her parents rushed over. A team of doctors lifted Grace onto a stretcher, and Grace passed out. Grace woke up 3 days later, lying in a hospital bed, watching a news report. A car had fallen into the sea. Tiffany, the heiress of the Zhao family, had become a kidnapper overnight. A young man in his 20s was recovered with her. Both were barely recognizable. More than 2 months later, Grace had mostly recovered. Her family arranged for her to study abroad, and she took the opportunity to travel overseas and clear her head. The streets of France were filled with a romantic atmosphere. Grace was riding her bicycle to a language class at the university when a man on a bicycle collided with her at an intersection. "I'm sorry," Grace instinctively apologized, but as she looked up, she caught her breath. The man in front of her wore a casual hoodie, his eyes soft and his expression gentle. Most importantly, he looked exactly like Kevin. "Kevin?" Grace was utterly shocked, her eyes wide. The man also seemed surprised, looking at Grace closely. He countered, "Do you know my brother?" Grace was even more astonished. Kevin had never mentioned having a brother, and to meet him in a university in AF. Foreign country was unbelievable. The man's name was Andrew. He said he had just finished handling his brother's funeral. He and Kevin were identical twins. Their parents had divorced when they were young. Andrew had moved abroad with their mother, while Kevin had stayed in their home country with their father, and they rarely kept in touch. Andrew looked at Grace and suddenly asked seriously, "Have we met somewhere before?" Grace smiled. "How could that be? I've always lived in our home country." Andrew thought for a moment, then finally smiled. "I remember now. No wonder you looked familiar. I saw you at my brother's university. I was only 16 that year and secretly came back to our country to see him. You were at the same school as him, being bullied by a few people, and I stopped them." A wave of intense emotion washed over Grace. "It was you. All these years, all these years." For a moment, Grace didn't know what to say. Her unfortunate entanglement with Kevin had begun in that very scene. Grace said goodbye to Andrew. The story ended here, and it would also begin here. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section. Feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great stories. See you next time.